Ron? All right. Well, welcome to Tech Entrepreneurship Class 1, Week 1, and I am Aram Chavez. I hope that everyone is online, everyone is comfortable. Can everyone hear me okay? Everyone can hear me okay? Great. Fantastic. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. We'll talk a little bit about the class, and then we're going to take a dive right into entrepreneurship because we got a lot to cover in a very short period of time this semester. Now, a little bit about myself. So I have been in the financial markets for, well, really since probably 1991, 1992. I was an investment banker, really funding and financing and structuring startups. So some of the companies that you may be familiar with that I have funded would be Mobile Mini. I funded them and funded them when they had about 1,800 containers. They're a global company. Now they're actually based out of Tempe. I was part of the syndicate. I didn't do a huge part of that underwriting, but on the secondary market, I was a huge player in the warrants. And I take a lot of pride in being able to finance some of their growth, especially in the secondary market. Zycam, I funded Zycam out of originally what was an empty warehouse. The founders were really wanting to create some functional chewing gums that evolved into a cough and cold spray that ended up blowing the doors off the market. The Garden Burger, I was a key player in financing the Garden Burger. A gentleman out of Oregon was wanting a non-soy, non-tofu based hamburger, and lo and behold, we ended up financing and funding him. So I have done everything from private placements to bridge loans to structuring the valuation of your company, which is going to be a very big key of this class, is understanding valuation and the treasury function of the business. And then I ended up, I've got my MBA from Thunderbird School of Global Management. I do quite a bit of international commerce. And let's see, what else? India and China primarily right now. And what else? I'm a native. I just purchased a 1993 Toyota Land Cruiser. Sounds like an old vehicle. Some of you guys, maybe it's older than some of you. I don't know. But it is, I'm kind of rebuilding it, and it is my passion right now. My other passion is beating my brother-in-law at golf, or at anything for that matter. And I am not a very good golfer. So I have to admit I very rarely beat him. But when I do, you would think I just won the Super Bowl. So anyway, what else do I have for you? As class goes on, you can ask me questions if you have an interest. One important point. I'm available 24/7. I like to get back to my students as quickly as possible. So I will get back to you. I'll respond to you typically the same day. The latest would be 24 hours, but I am very responsive. I am up at all hours of the night. I'm maybe on the phone with India or China, or I am trading currencies, and so I'm up at 3 or 4 in the morning. So for whatever reason, if you need to contact me, and I don't want to know why you're up at 3 or 4 in the morning, but if you have a question or contact and need to contact me and I happen to be up, I will respond. Let's see, where else are we? You're going to have a quiz now towards the actual requirements and deliverables of this class in order for you to be successful. You are going to have a quiz every Friday. It's due on Sunday. Every Friday, due on Sunday. 11:59 p.m. It's going to be cumulative over the week. So today's session, week 1, class 1, Thursday's session, week 1, class 2. On Friday, you're going to have a quiz over Tuesday and Thursday, and then it repeats that way for the entire semester. Now, in week 4, there will be no quiz. You will have a midterm, and the midterm is going to be cumulative over the previous 4 weeks. So, and then the final exam is going to be cumulative over the entire semester. The reason why you don't have a book is because I pride myself on teaching you real-time, real-world entrepreneurship. I live it, I breathe it. I'm one of the few venture capitalists or angels in Arizona that actively looks at and funds companies, startups to small to medium-sized enterprises. And I'm here to show you not only how to build your company, to go from your aha moment or your dream to actually creating a business, but I'm here to show you how to look through the lens of a venture capitalist or an angel, because you're going to have to fund your enterprise at some point. And at some point, you're going to need to approach a potential investor like myself. So you're going to be looking at this class through 2 lenses through the entire semester. It's going to be through the entrepreneur's lens as well as through the lens of a venture capitalist. So that way you understand what it is that you need to be saying, what it is you need to be doing in order to attract those funds. Any questions or comments? Any questions or comments regarding any of the topics that I just discussed? All right, and everybody can hear me just fine still. That's great. All right, so let's get started. We don't have any time to waste. We are moving forward quickly. So get out your notes and let's get started. Also, the notes and the recordings will be posted no later than the following day. So your class today, week 1, class 1, will at the latest be posted Wednesday morning, probably no later than 9 a.m. Thursday, it'll be posted no later than 9 a.m. on Friday. And then you will also be given the quiz probably no later than 5 p.m. in the afternoon. I try to upload those quizzes early in the morning on Friday, and that way you have the entire weekend to review your notes, review the recordings, and then take your quiz. All right. Any questions, comments? Let's get started. Innovation without execution is hallucination. Innovation without execution is hallucination. What do I mean by that? By the way, I expect that you guys online provide feedback, questions, and be active participants, and I very much appreciate it, and I know that your classmates will too, especially the ones watching the recording. Innovation without execution is hallucination. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean to you? Anybody online? And they can hear me just fine, right? Okay, fantastic. Essentially, that means that how many of you, well, let me ask you this. How many of you have come up with a dream? How many of you have had a dream or an aha moment, your watershed moment where you all of a sudden say, wow, there should be some kind of product or some kind of service for this market. And the next thing you know, you've come up with another idea. And you say, wow, there should be another service or another product for this market, for this particular market. But you never actually take the steps of building on that idea. And we all come up with ideas that we end up sitting on, and the next thing you know, 6 months later or 2 years later, you see your idea in some form or some variation actually in the marketplace, and you say to yourself, oh, crud, I came up with it, I thought of that, and you never did anything. You got stuck in your dream. Innovation without execution is hallucination. You never took it to the next step. You never executed. So in this class, we're going to talk about that. Today's class is going to be a little bit more of a macro view, and then we'll take some deep dives. And then every class period, we'll end up taking some deep dives. All right, innovation without execution is hallucination. Do you guys have any idea, ladies and gentlemen, do you have any idea what makes the world go round? That's a very general question. What makes the world go round? There are lots of answers that can be defended, but I'm looking for one specific answer. What makes the world go round? And it also coincidentally is the reason why this one particular country is the leader in global commerce. We call the leader in global commerce, we're calling them the hegemon. The hegemon. The leader in global commerce is the hegemon. You need to know this. And the question I asked was, why is the leader in global commerce? What is it that makes the world go round? What is the characteristic that they have that makes them the hegemon? And the answer is innovation. Innovation makes the world go round. Ideas make the world go round. Dreams. And in this class, I want you to dream, and I want you to dream big or small, but dream. Innovation is creativity, ideation, innovation, creation. This is what I want you to concentrate on in this class. And the hegemon, the driver of global commerce, is the U.S. And you say, well, wait a minute. Defend this, Aram. How can you say that the United States dreams bigger and better than any other country in the world? How can you say that? Is there something in the water? What is it that makes the U.S. bigger dreamers, better innovators? What precipitates innovation is the question. What precipitates innovation? And it's a double-edged sword. It's something that should scare you and something that should make you jump for joy. In the U.S., we hire and we fire people at the drop of a dime. The days of you working for a company or somebody working for a company for 30 or 40 years are long gone. Your parents may be the last of that generation. Maybe the very last of that generation. They don't want to pay your pension. And look at what happened in 2008, October of 2008. In October of 2008, and you need to know this date, what is this? It's a very crude drawing. What is this that I just drew? Anyone online, what is this that I just drew? Standard deviation. And in October of 2008, we had a very rare catastrophic financial crisis hit our economy. And the odds of a very rare catastrophic financial crisis hitting our economy were something like 0.0875%. It's an outlier. The last time we had a catastrophic financial crisis of the magnitude of October of 2008 was in 1929. We call this catastrophic financial crisis a black swan. Major financial crisis. And it seemed like in 2009, every single day, businesses were closing their doors. Businesses were shutting down shop. Do you remember this? I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Large businesses, small businesses in the United States were affected dramatically. Layoffs happened left and right. It was a game changer. October 2008 is a game changer. You have the benefit, believe it or not, of being able to manage through something that your parents didn't even manage through, and something your grandparents may have possibly been through. The reality of it is, you have at your age a notch on your belt that says, I have made it through a black swan. And that's what we want. That's what I want. That's why I'm teaching tech entrepreneurship, because we are still we're still feeling the residual effects somewhat of that financial crisis. And I'm here to tell you that I want you to turn your dream into a reality, into a business, and that's why I'm teaching. The time is now. The time is right now. It's here and now. Now, let's go back to our hegemon. Another advantage that we have in the U.S., and this is not a patriotic speech, okay? This is not a patriotic speech by any means. An advantage that we have in the U.S. is that we have what's called a horizontal management matrix or matrices, meaning that it's not vertically, it is vertical in the sense that you have your boss and they have their boss and all the way up to the CEO, and the CEO has the board of directors, et cetera, et cetera. The reality of it is that what I mean by a horizontal management matrices is that if your CEO, let's say you work at Intel, and the CEO happens to get on the same elevator as you feel fairly comfortable in speaking your mind to that individual. Obviously, professionally, if you have a suggestion, you have an idea, you might say something to the CEO. It used to be in the United States that you didn't speak really until asked. You didn't speak unless spoken to. In other countries, Mexico, France, China, there is a much more vertical and vertically oriented management structure where you don't speak unless you're spoken to. Well, the beauty of a horizontal management structure is that as startup entrepreneurs, you by nature have more of a communicative and collaborative mindset. And again, we're talking about some overarching macro views. I've got to get certain context, I've got to get you into a certain context, and I've got to get some vernacular under your belt so that we can get into a stream and start moving fast. What else do we have in the United States? Diversity. It's a fact that companies that are more diverse in their employees and management base, on average, perform about 30% more than homogeneous organizations. All of the components that you need to start up your business are present. You live in an environment that is conducive for you to take your dream into a reality. The timing couldn't be better. While everyone is sitting around stuck in the mud, hoping that somebody comes to save them out of our black swan, you have the opportunity to create a business. Imagine you were living in 1929, the same age you are now, and the black swan landed on you, and you had the gumption and the audacity to decide to form a business in 1933. It didn't even get bad in that crash until 1933, 34. The economy got worse. 1929 was not the worst point, very much like October 2008 was not the worst point. 2009 and the beginning of 2010 were probably the worst points of our economy. But imagine you had the gumption to go out there and form a business in 1933 or 1934. Fast forward to 1940. The economy is starting to come back. And now everybody wants to form a business. Now everyone wants to compete with you. But you've already got a step ahead on them. You've got a running start because you formed your business when everybody else was stuck in the mud. We're acting like zombies. I have a theory, and this is my own crazy theory, that if you notice that all of these zombie movies in this zombie cult era, they kind of started in after October 2008. It's my theory because the economy was terrible. And you have all of these zombie movies because everybody was paralyzed. Maybe it's a stretch, but that's my theory, nonetheless. That's my theory, nonetheless. Now, we have to get into some basic vernacular, some basic vocabulary. I need you to know the difference between outsourcing. You need to understand clearly the distinction between outsourcing and offshoring. Anybody online have a distinction for me that they would like to define for the class? Online people, again, I expect you to participate. Don't worry about the answer being not fully correct. I'll walk you through it. Does anybody want to define either one, outsourcing or offshoring? Offshoring is outside of the U.S. Excellent, Angelica. Excellent. Offshoring is this. Let's say you're Intel, and you open up a manufacturing facility in Ireland. Those are your employees. That's your product in another country. That's offshoring. Okay? Offshoring is your facilities, your employees in another country. Great definition, Angelica. What's outsourcing? What would outsourcing be? Outsourcing is the contracting out of an internal business process to a third-party organization. Well, I can see that you can. That's a very defined. Good job, Michael. That's better than what I was going to say. Outsourcing is a contract. Does it have to be? Let me ask you this: does it have to be to another country, or can outsourcing be within? Absolutely. Absolutely. It can be within. It can be within. Let's say Intel wants to make some shirts, 100 of them. Are they going to buy a screen press? No, they're going to outsource it to a local manufacturer or a local screen press company, depending on how much they are and the volume, et cetera, et cetera. But for the most part, outsourcing is utilizing another company to complete a function you don't want to do. Just complete another function. How about that? To complete a function of your business. Now, we use these oftentimes, or I hear them used interchangeably, which is why in this class and from here on forward, we need to know the distinction between the two. We need to use these correctly. I can't tell you how many times I hear offshoring when they mean outsourcing or vice versa. And Michael says it would depend on the long-term vision and value and ROI. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, we talked about innovation being the primary driver. We talked about outsourcing. We talked about offshoring. Let me ask you this. Who is the manufacturer of the world? The manufacturer of the world. Excellent. Excellent, Angelica. And China. Who's the back office of the world? Who's the back office of the world? That's right, too. India. Now, how many people are in India? How many people does India have, roughly? How many people does India have, would you guess? $1.2 billion people. How about China? How many people does China have? 1.4 billion people. Now compare that to the United States. How many people does the United States have? roughly about 330 million, give or take, probably, there you go, 10 or 20 million. We are competing globally. It's not just about having a great idea. It's about understanding the context in which you live. Every company in the United States has global competition. Every company. India and China are just two of the countries that have a huge population that are wanting to become the hegemon. Think of Europe. Europe, how many countries are part of the EU? And again, this is part of our global context, because what's great about entrepreneurship is you can be global like that. And in fact, you probably are global just by the simple fact that if you are a startup and you have a product, you're having it manufactured maybe in China or Mexico. So let's continue. How many countries are there that are members of the EU? The European Union. How many countries are there in the European Union? 27. And they all want to be the hegemon. I've been to conferences in Paris where the conference was all about how do we innovate beyond the United States? How do we become the hegemon? And I wanted to stand up and say, well, start hiring and firing people. You'll get people to start thinking. That hire and fire mentality precipitates innovation. As I mentioned earlier, coming full circle, you don't have the luxury of working for a company for 30 or 40 years. Mergers and acquisitions happen at breakneck pace now. Your division may be sold off. Your division may be acquired. You may be fired because of cost. Things happen quickly, very quickly. It's important that you take your innovation to the next step. It's important that you take your innovation to the next step. I can't stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. Now, really quick, this is a very crude. What are these two hemispheres that I'm drawing? What might it be? I know I'm not a great illustrator, but this is a brain, right? And we understand quite a bit about the brain. The right side of the hemisphere is your innovative side, your creative side. Creation, ideation, innovation. Your left side of the brain is logic, process, efficiency. Here's the question: which one of these can you outsource? I want to know. I'm not going to give you the answer. Which one of these can you outsource? Which one of these can you outsource? Michael says the left. He's absolutely right. We've got a new movie coming out, Star Trek. I don't know if it came out yet or not. But who is the smartest man on the ship? Who is the smartest man on the Starship Enterprise? or woman? Who is the smartest on the Starship Enterprise? Tell me. I want to know. Who's the smartest individual on the Starship Enterprise? Human. Well, partially human, I guess. It's Spock, right? It's Spock. Well, why isn't Spock the captain of the ship then? Why isn't Spock captain of the Starship Enterprise? He's clearly, without a doubt, the smartest, most logical, efficient, process-oriented individual on the ship. Who's the captain of the ship? Who's the captain of the Starship Enterprise? Who is the captain of the Starship Enterprise? Somebody's got to know. There are 6 individuals on here. Somebody's got to know who the captain of the Starship Enterprise is. Robert, who's the captain of the Starship Enterprise? James Tiberius Kirk is the captain of the Starship Enterprise. He is not the most logical, process, efficient-oriented individual. He is somewhat of a dreamer. He comes up with solutions to problems a little bit more creatively. And this is you. This is your business. And although you're going to have the logical side of your brain functioning full time, you're also going to have to recognize that innovation is what drives your business. You're also going to have to recognize that it is what is going to allow you to evolve. Evolution is part of your startup. Evolution is part of your business. When you stop innovating, your company is going to die. That's a pretty harsh statement. When you stop innovating, your company is going to die. I'm going to give you an example of Motorola. I remember in 1992, Motorola was a Fortune 50 company, one of the largest companies in the world. And they had 50% market share. 50% market share in the cell phone industry. 1 out of every 2 cell phones that people held in 1992 was a Motorola. And they knew it. And they wielded a lot of power. And the cell phone market was relatively new. It was like a box. I remember I had one. It was a really big rectangular brick. And you could hurt somebody with it if you dropped it on their foot. Well, they had market share. And I'm here to tell you that innovation tells you more about your future than your current market share. So Motorola decided consciously, their board of directors, these are very intelligent individuals, said to themselves, we have market share. 1 out of every 2 cell phones is made by us. Why would we want to go digital? We're going to tell the consumer what they want. They're buying from us. Can you imagine? That's the mistake they made. You may not be aware of it. You are now. But imagine having 50% of the cell phone market in 1992. and giving it away because you concentrated on your profits. You concentrated on your efficiencies. You concentrated on Six Sigma. You concentrated on processes too much, and you let the innovation side go. Now Motorola is an afterthought when it comes to cell phones. It's Samsung or Apple. It was for a while BlackBerry. I mean, they were in the game, I want to say. They failed to innovate. They failed to continue to innovate. And where are they today? I mean, they gave up 50% of the market share. That is what I would call a disgusting business tactic. And I'm going to show you visually here what happened. So I'm showing you what's called the product life cycle. And I have added my own wrinkle to this. I've added a couple of wrinkles to this. So pay attention. This is when you come up with your aha moment right here. This is your dream. This is where you innovate. This is where you create. This is where you have your ideation. This pen doesn't write very well. What do you do after, what's the first step? This is rule number one. What's your first step after you come up with, how do you take this, how do you take your dream to the next step? What is that next step, Aram? What is that next step? Where do you go after you innovate? This little section here, that's your beta. What is a beta? What is a beta? Excellent, Angelica. Beta is a test. You see here, you've got these X's are your ideas. And the closer they get to actually becoming a product or a service, your idea, it becomes your beta. And you launch it. And you test it. And you see what's going to stick. This is the introduction phase of your business. You can also say it's also the launch phase of your business. And this is the product life cycle. This is the launch phase. Before you even launch it, you've got to do a beta. Do you get me? Before you launch it, you've got to do a beta. You got to work out the kinks. And then I have added the market acceptance phase. And then you have the growth phase, followed by maturity, and then decline. And although this looks somewhat academic, again, I have added the market acceptance phase, and I've added the beta to this. Because this is real world, real time teachings that you need to understand. So here we are, we're launching our product, we go through the beta, we work out the kinks, we launch the product, we see some market acceptance, some growth, maturity, and now decline. Now underneath this is going to be revenue. And revenue, for those of you, revenue is the same as sales. I just want you to know that revenue is the same as sales. And those of you who are not fully sure, I expect you to ask. There are no silly questions. You need to know, ask. Down here is going to be your what. If this is revenue, your top line, what's your bottom line going to be called? Expenses. Very good, Michael. Expenses, your costs. Now, the reason why companies go out of business and the reason why you see this arch, how this declines. This is Motorola. Motorola was growing and growing, and they failed to reinvest money back into R&D. They failed to reinvest money back into R&D, and this is called, when you reinvest, money back into R&D. Now, as my tata would say, my grandfather would say, he would say, Aram, now you're cooking with gas. And when you start to reinvest these dollars back into, where are we going? We're going right back into the dream phase. This is innovation. When you start reinvesting, it's called cross-subsidization. You need to know this. It's called cross-subsidization. And this is basically investing back into the R&D. What does R&D stand for, by the way? This is one of the terms we need to know. What does R&D stand for? Thank you, Aaron. Research and development. And what is this department? What is this? What is research and development? We just went over it. What is the research and development department? Just somebody give me a quick specific. What is research and development? It's the dream phase. It's the dream part of your business. This is where you dream of new products, new ideas that are going to delight and entice your customers. What's the point to this last section? Always be dreaming. Always be dreaming. Always be dreaming. This is what entrepreneurship is about. And when it's within a major company like Motorola, it's not called entrepreneurship anymore. It's called intrapreneurship. That's dreaming within your company. Do you know what my title here at ASU is? Do you know what my title at ASU, under the College of Technology and Innovation, do you know what that title is? Does anybody online know what my title is here? My title is Skunkworks. That's my title here at ASU. The Skunkworks is the R&D department, the ideation department of a business or an organization. That's the title I wanted. I want you to look up where this came from, but on my business card here at ASU, it doesn't say you know, all of these bells. No, it says Skunkworks lecturer. That's what I wanted. I want you to look up Skunkworks. Tell me what that means. Tell me what that means. Now, I don't know how many of you have had business courses before. How many of you have had some business courses, finance, marketing, accounting? How many of you have had online some business courses? Anyone? Some? Yep. Well, you know what's amazing to me, and I'm going to teach this to you right now, is this should be taught your first day in whatever business course you're teaching or you're taking. I need you to understand that there are 6 functions of a business. I don't care if you're a business major or not. If you're an engineer, you need to know this. If you are a financier, you need to know this. The 6 functions of a business, yes, and you'll get it. All right. The first function of a business is strategy. That's this very large bubble. The second function of a business is operations. And as an entrepreneur, you absolutely need to understand all of these functions. Because if you don't, you're going to be, most likely, you're going to be confused a whole lot. The third function of a business is marketing. And in entrepreneurship, in tech entrepreneurship, we're going to be very specific. It's not just marketing, it is guerrilla marketing. Okay? Now, if you work for Intel, it's just marketing. If you work for Apple, it's guerrilla marketing. Apple operates like guerrilla marketers, believe it or not. The fourth is finance. These are the people that say no, right? The fifth is R&D, and the sixth is international business development or international business. These are the 6 functions of a business. And if you're working for a corporation and you are an engineer on the operations side, you need to know what strategy is doing, what finance is doing, what R&D is doing, what business is doing. Because if you don't, you're myopic. Your blinders are on. You are not seeing the whole picture. As an entrepreneur, you need to be able to see the whole picture. As an intrapreneur, or as somebody that works for an Intel, I don't care if you don't want to really own your own business. You need to understand the 6 functions of the business. This should be taught on day 1 of Business 101. Now, I'm here to tell you that operations is the heart and soul of your business. Operations is the heart and soul of your business. Robert, what time does this class end, by the way? Okay. We got time, yeah. Now, Finance, for our intents and purposes right now, are the people that say no. Oh, you know what? I'd like to have a little more budget for this project I'm working on. You have to go to the finance department. What do they say? They say no, right? No. R&D, we know this as Skunk Works, right? Guerrilla Marketing, International Business. I have a question for you. Everyone on here, I want you to answer. Of the 6 functions, and this is not a trick question, but of the 6 functions, there are 2. 2 of the 6 functions are the most important functions of a business. I don't care if you're running a paleta stand on the street or if you are Intel. Give me the 2 most important functions of a business. Tell me the 2 most important functions of a business. Michael says number 2 and number 5. Angela says operations and R&D. Ian says R&D and operations. So I don't want you guys to be influenced by each other. Somebody give me something different. R&D and operations again. Well, it looks like we have formed a quorum and R&D and operations wins. Wrong. And that's okay because I hadn't given you the answer and you're not aware of it. The 2 most important functions of the 6 functions of a business, you got it right with R&D, marketing. Marketing. Now, I kind of tricked you with this heart and soul thing, and it's true. But everything else is a cost center. Even R&D is a cost center, but I told you, and you got it right, without innovation, your company is going to die. So you got innovation out of the way. You got the Skunk Works part of your business. Check. R&D, good job. I did trick you a little bit with operations. Operations is, no question, the heart and soul of your business. But marketing is selling. It's a call to action. In fact, your definition from here on out, I don't care if you have a doctorate in marketing. Your definition of marketing from now on is a call to action. Marketing sells. Without sales, how long is your operations going to be in business? Not very long, is it? Not very long. And R&D tells you more about your future than your current market share. Motorola is an excellent example. I want you to look at the 6 functions of a business. We're going to take some deeper dives. You know, the operations is the logic, process, Six Sigma, efficiency, and we need that. But as a startup, I caution you. Do not spend too much time on your costs. Wait, what? Wait a minute. Aram, you're telling me something that it does not seem very intuitive, and I've been taught otherwise. Your cost is where you make money, not in the price of where you sell it. How can you tell me that not to spend too much time on your costs? Because you need to be spending, as a tech entrepreneur, +80% of your time on sales. 80% of your day. And I'm not talking 9 to 5. If you have your own business, it's 24/7. 24/7. 80% of your time is going to be sales. When you start to build your business, then you can actually start concentrating a little bit more on costs and operations and efficiency and lean. The other 20% should probably be on R&D. The reality of it is, though, you've got employees or an employee, you've got, you're taking out the trash and you're also negotiating a distribution agreement or a licensing agreement with a company. I mean, the reality of it is you are wearing several hats. Let me show you, I'm going to show you what your business should look like. This is what your business should look like. This is guerrilla marketing. And I forget if there's 2 R's in that. Somebody tell me, is there 2 R's in that? Guerrilla marketing here. Well, this is strategy. This is operations. Here's your international business. R&D should be really a big part of operations, so this should be R&D. Do you follow what I'm doing here? And here's finance. Your day should be spent on guerrilla marketing. Guerrilla marketing, guerrilla marketing, guerrilla marketing. And we're going to go through each one of these 6 functions, like I said, a little more detail. But somebody tell me, what is guerrilla marketing? What do I mean by guerrilla marketing? What do I mean by guerrilla marketing? What is guerrilla marketing? Unconventional marketing. Unconventional marketing. Okay, so you're on the right track, Angelica. You've given me an answer without an answer. But I like it. I like that you're moving. I mean, I like that you're typing. I love this. And she's right. It's unconventional marketing. It's things like, and she's typing. I'm going to wait for her to finish. No, I'm not. It's things like PR. It's things like social media. It's things like earned media. Etc., etc. It's you pounding the pavement, picking up the phone, dialing for dollars, knocking on doors, etc., etc. This is guerrilla marketing. And is it with 2 R's or 1? I think it's with 1. Guerrilla marketing. You don't have money. You don't have the resources. You've got to operate like you are. You've got to build a business without money. And it can be done. It can be done. And it is with 2 R's. Thank you very much, Aaron. Do you see this? I want you to look at this. I really want you to, I want you to illustrate it on your own so you don't forget it. But look at how much, and this is the academic. In the academic, they only give you really 3 functions of a business: strategy, operations, and marketing. But this is the real world, and I understand, and I know a little better, and I know a little bit more. This is the way it should work. These bubbles, this Venn diagram should be very, very What's the word I'm looking for? Exaggerated on the guerrilla marketing side. Now, this is what I normally see. I'm going to show you what I normally see. This is operations. This is strategy. And this is marketing. This is what I see with startup companies, with small companies. And then I see a little bit of R&D. I see very little in finance. And I see very little, it's almost non-existent, international business. And in school, you are taught you need to be aware of your costs and you need to control your variable costs because that's going to put you out of business. You need to concentrate on your fixed costs. We need to be lean. We need to be logical. We need to be process oriented. And I say pshaw to that. Because if you don't have sales, you're not going to have operations to be logical about. That's the long and short of it. This is what I normally see. Companies looking for money. Aaron, we've got our costs down. And you know, this is how they phrase it to me. We got our costs down, Aaron. We've got this huge market opportunity. We need like $1 million or $2 or 10 million, whatever it is. And what we really want though is we want to get the word out. And I'm thinking, get the word out. You mean guerrilla marketing? They don't know how to guerrilla market because they have spent all of their time on operations. They have spent all of their time on operations. Now, I'm going to tell you a secret. Secrets usually aren't written. But I'm giving you the secret. And I hope that you keep this secret. No, I don't. But there is a very, very rare secret that not a lot of people know. They say that 80%, and it's probably more than 80%, my research and my experience really show me and tell me that anecdotally, I think it's probably 80-85% of all startups fail within the first 2 years. Well, that's not a secret, Aaron. All startups, not all, but on average, we'll say startups fail within the first 2 years. Why do startups, and this is a question I want all of you online to ask, why do startups fail within the first 2 years? Why do 80-85% of startups fail within the first 2 years? I have Aaron, I have Angelica typing. Aaron says poor management, lack of exposure. Michael says because they're too focused on how. They doubt themselves. What is Angelica typing? People are not willing to put the time in. These are all really good answers. Wrong. And I love you guys, so I say that affectionately. The reason why the majority of businesses fail within the first 2 years, this is the secret. Lack of working. Somebody want to finish that sentence off? Lack of working. No? Close? Ian's typing capital. Ian. Redeeming himself. I had Ian down for a D today. Before he even came into class. I'm just kidding. Fantastic. Lack of working capital. They just didn't prepare for their business for 2 years to have enough money to float themselves over 24 months. It wasn't so much. Now, some of it is going to be that they didn't want to put the commitment in. Some of it was because maybe they were doubting themselves. Some of it is because of poor management or lack of exposure. The reality of it is cash. Working capital keeps you alive until you become cash flow positive. And on this next Thursday, in 2 days, we are going to take a dive into why I despise the word profit. Oh my gosh. This guy thinks totally different. We're going to talk about growth. We're going to talk about working capital. We're going to talk about we got so many things to talk about. We're going to continue to build off of today's lessons. We have so much to talk about. This is fantastic. You guys have put a smile on my face. Thank you so much for the participation. Does anybody have any questions or comments? We have 2 minutes for Q&A. And again, if you don't think of the question now, post it on the hallway, text me, email me, call me. I am here for you. I am here for you. You're going to get your monies out of this class. Are we understanding each other? Can I see the trial page didn't finish the note? Yep, absolutely. Is it this one? Okay. So what precipitates the hegemon being a leader in global commerce is innovation. Innovation is precipitated by a hire and fire mentality. In the US, we also have a very flat management matrix, and we have diversity. And diverse companies are known to generate about 30% more in revenue than non-diverse or homogeneous companies, if I may. Is there a reason that discussions are only open for the weekends? No. Our discussions, say that in my syllabus? You're welcome, Angelica. Wouldn't it be helpful to give people more time? Yeah, Aaron, you're absolutely right. You can contact me, or you can put the discussions on any time. Okay, anytime. On the site it says just the 2 days, I believe. Okay, well, I'm going to change that. I was not aware of that. I think that I had agreed to that for another class, but that was actually a project, and I think that there was some confusion. So Aaron, thank you very much for pointing that out. You can, and you should, I hope that you email me, text me. I would really like, the way that you learn is other students see your questions, okay? And don't think that they're silly, don't think they're stupid, don't think that, this is entrepreneurship. This is the real world, this is real life. Everybody needs to learn from each other. So, anytime, okay, anytime. Any other questions? Any other questions? All right. Over and out. Same time, same channel, Thursday, 1 p.m.